Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling something pretty monumental. It's the Victory with Ash movement. We know you've been curious, and honestly, so have we. The source material you sent over is, it's intense, it's not marketing fluff, it's this incredibly detailed, almost prescriptive manifesto.
It really is a remarkable document. What we're looking at here are the foundational arguments, they call them the 13 pillars, for why member registration is absolutely non-negotiable.
Right, it's not just a sign-up form for them, it's the first step in this transformative training they keep talking about.
And our mission today is to really unpack that, to get inside this manifesto, look at the strategy, and figure out what these 13 arguments are actually doing.
Exactly. We're not just going to list them. We want to understand why these specific points were chosen and how they're connecting the simple act of registering to these huge global ambitions.
Because the ambition is massive. They're talking about the rebirth of the internet, a new digital dawn.
And the core claim, the thing we really have to focus on, is that registration is the only way in. The only way to get into this ecosystem that promises to, and I'm quoting here, align automation with dignity.
And replace what they call systemic exploitation with ethical technology. It's a huge promise.
It is. So think of this deep dive as us trying to map out the blueprint of, a new digital country.
That's a good way to put it. Every argument for registration is like a pillar holding up the weight of that final promise. If we can understand the pillars, we understand the whole thing.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this, starting right at the beginning with the big philosophical foundation they lay out.
The vision.
Section 1, the foundational vision, order, dignity, and the new digital dawn.
Right.
So they kick this off with a really grand statement, and they do it by combining their first and their last arguments, points 1 and 13.
Which is a very powerful rhetorical trick, by the way. Start with the vision, end with the vision.
Yeah, it is. And they frame registration not as some boring admin task, but as you actively stepping into the new era of the internet.
And they define that era very clearly. It's a place where automation meets dignity and ethical technology replaces exploitation. It's a deliberate contrast.
A contrast to what they see as the old internet, right? The chaotic, maybe even predatory version.
Exactly. They're saying the old way was chaos. Our way, the Victory with Ash way, is about order. It's about ethics. And the first choice you make to prove you want that is to register. It's a philosophical alignment before it's a technical one.
They use this term over and over again. Dignified member. What does that actually imply here? It feels like very loaded language.
Oh, it's absolutely loaded. A dignified member, according to these sources, is someone who has made a conscious choice to opt out of that old chaos.
Okay.
Functionally, it means you're choosing to be part of a community of, as they put it, builders, not followers.
Builders, not followers. I like that.
It's a choice for empowerment over confusion, for clarity over chaos. So when you register, you're not just giving them your email. You're confirming that you align with their core principles of integrity and respect.
And this all links back to what they call the grand victory ahead. I think that's the key to the urgency here. Point 13 is like this big, dramatic call to action.
It is.
It positions registration as the moment you secure your spot for that grand victory.
Yes, and we should probably define that term just neutrally. The grand victory seems to refer to the moment their whole system goes fully operational.
So when all the automation, all the ethical tech, all the financial systems they promise are active and working for the members.
Precisely. And the sources are so insistent on this point. The foundation, the member list, has to be firm before the system arrives with thunder.
With thunder. That's another one of those powerful word choices. It doesn't sound like a quiet beta launch.
Not at all. It implies a sudden, overwhelming, paradigm-shifting event. And if you're preparing for something that massive, you can't have any administrative weakness. The logic is clear. Alignment has to come before power.
So if the member roster is a mess when the thunder arrives, the whole thing could fall apart, or at least leave people behind.
That's the risk they're highlighting. So arguments 1 and 13, together they create this psychological contract. It's register now, get prepared, because the future is coming, and it's coming fast and loud.
Which is the perfect setup for their second pillar, which gets much more practical. It's about imposing systemic order.
Right, from the philosophical to the practical.
Point 2 really hammers this home. Victory with Ash is a system, and any system needs order before it can accelerate.
And they use these great simple analogies to make that point. You had to identify the runners before the race starts.
Organize the classroom before the lesson begins.
Verify the structures before you hand out the rewards. In a complex, global system like this, chaos isn't just an annoyance, it's a genuine threat to security and efficiency.
So let's break that down. If they're planning to serve millions of people with this tech, what are the specific practical things that this order from registration actually achieves? The sources list 5 of them.
Yeah, these are the real brass tacks of organizing something on this scale. First, and this is the most obvious one, registration gives them a clear identity for every single participant.
Moving away from the anonymous nature of the old internet.
Exactly. Second, it sets up accurate, verifiable channels for communication. And if you're sending out secure, time-sensitive information around the world, that's non-negotiable.
Okay, that makes sense.
Third is transparent record keeping, which is absolutely essential if you're going to be allocating any kind of benefits or rewards down the line. You need a perfect ledger.
And I'm guessing the last 2 are more about the tech and the resources.
They are. The fourth point is that registration allows for secure, personalized access to whatever proprietary tools they're building. If only certain people get access, you have to know who they are.
Right.
And fifth, and this is crucial for the training part, it lets them properly allocate the training resources. If the training is as intensive as they say, they can't afford to waste it on accounts that aren't real or people who aren't properly identified.
So registration isn't just making a list. They call it the essential doorway.
It is.
It's the mechanism they say will ensure no founder or member is left behind. And that's a really powerful promise to make to someone who got in early.
It's a contractual promise. By asking you to register, they're guaranteeing they won't lose you in the shuffle. It reduces the risk of administrative error, which, can be the downfall of movements that grow too quickly.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit back to the ethical side of things. Pillar number 3, the moral foundation.
Dignity before data.
Dignity before data. I mean, that's a great slogan. The sources make it clear this is about quality, not just quantity. The system does not just accept anyone.
Which is a brilliant rhetorical move. Think about the biggest criticism of large digital platforms today.
That they exploit your data.
Exactly. They harvest it, they sell it. But putting dignity before data, VictoryWithAsh is trying to get ahead of that criticism from the very start. They're saying their main asset is integrity, not just a massive user count.
So how does the simple act of registering actually reinforce that moral foundation? How do they connect those 2 things?
It's about creating a moral contract.
Yeah.
The sources talk about it in 3 ways. First, when you register, you're making a public commitment to use the system responsibly.
Okay, it's like a pledge.
Sort of, yeah. Second, by registering, you become a verifiable representative of the movement. You're embodying its spirit. And third, and this is a bit more abstract, the act of everyone committing together strengthens the whole community's moral and ethical core.
So the argument is that a community of known, verified people is just inherently more ethical than a crowd of anonymous accounts.
Absolutely. The implication is that accountability is what drives ethical behavior. And they claim this ensures the upcoming training will be more powerful, more unified, and more focused.
Why?
Because the quality of the audience has been vetted before the training even starts. The registered members themselves become a prerequisite for the system's integrity.
That's a fascinating way to frame it. Okay, so that really wraps up the foundational philosophical part of their argument.
Right. We've moved from the why to the what.
And now we're getting into the much more operational, practical side of things, the real nuts and bolts.
Security, access, and what the training actually requires.
Let's get into it, section 2.
Let's.
So we're transitioning into operational reality, and pillar 4 is a big one, protecting the ecosystem. The manifesto really contrasts the security they're promising with, quote, previous chaotic digital environments.
Yeah, and this is critical. If your whole brand is built on dignity and ethics, your system has to be secure. It has to be safe. Security here isn't just about preventing hacks, it's about protecting the identities and resources of your members.
If the system gets breached, the whole promise of dignity just evaporates.
Instantly. So they position registration as the very first line of defense. It's the filter that checks for authenticity at the door.
And the sources get very specific here. They list 5 security benefits that come directly from registering Dignified members. Let's walk through those.
Okay, so they kind of build on each other. First, you get a verified identity within the system. One person, one known digital presence.
Simple enough.
Second, because of that, you drastically cut down on the risk of impersonation, which is, a huge problem online. Third, and this is so important for managing resources, it allows for the elimination of ghost accounts.
Let's pause on that. Why is getting rid of ghost accounts so central to their security argument?
Well, ghost accounts can be used for all sorts of bad things. They can inflate user numbers to look more successful than you are. They can be used for fraud, or they can be used to spread misinformation and disrupt the community.
Right.
So for a system that's all about transparent records and fair rewards, getting rid of those fake or duplicate accounts is essential to protect the integrity of everything. Fourth, verification actively protects the ecosystem from infiltration.
From people who might want to join just to cause trouble or undermine it.
Exactly. And the fifth benefit ties it all together. It ensures authentic participation in key programs. It prevents the system from being manipulated by outside forces.
And the conclusion they draw from all this is pretty bold. A secure ecosystem is a powerful ecosystem, which becomes
An unstoppable ecosystem.
Right.
And registration is that first essential security check that makes it all possible.
Okay, so that's protection. Let's talk about the promise. Pillar number 5 is all about unlocking the revolutionary tools. They frame VictoryWithAsh as way more than just training. It's a gateway to the future of AI, digital business, secure communication, and so on.
And this is the carrot to the stick of registration. This is the reward. If you're building a whole new digital world, the tools you use to navigate it have to be exclusive. They have to be protected.
And the sources are crystal clear. Access to all this stuff is granted only to registered members.
Which turns registration from a chore into a requirement for access. It's a gatekeeper.
What's actually behind that gate? What's in that exclusive access package?
It's a whole suite of things. The sources list 5 categories. Registered members get pre-launch briefings and internal updates, so they're always in the know.
Okay, inside information.
Right. They get access to exclusive tools. The context suggests things like secure identity systems or maybe something with blockchain tech. They, of course, get to participate in the structured training modules themselves. And most importantly, they become eligible for any digital or financial benefits tied to the ecosystem.
So the metaphor they use in the source is that registration is the key that unlocks the kingdom.
It's a perfect metaphor.
Yeah.
If you don't have the key, you can stand outside and look at the walls, but you can't get in and you can't benefit from what's inside.
Right. It creates a very clear line between being an observer and being a privileged participant.
A participant who is entitled to future rewards, yes.
And that leads us perfectly into Pillar 6, which is about the training itself. The manifesto says this curriculum isn't just some casual webinar. It's strategic, structured, and transformative.
And if the training is that high stakes, the trainers have to know their audience. I mean, it's just practical. You can't effectively teach complex subjects like ethical AI or secure automation systems if you have no idea who you're talking to.
So what specific information does registration give the trainers that they need to make the training work?
The data points they list are pretty sophisticated, which suggests a really tailored learning experience. First, they obviously need to know who is attending.